Greetings. Once again, this is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and I'm still in Glennville, Georgia. Everybody's talking about this big movie that's coming down, calling itself the Gemini Man. And so I'm here today, and I'll tell you, this meeting was discontinued, interrupted, if you will, by the local police at this 100 Black Men Social Club. And we are here today, Saturday, and we're going to do several things. Number one, we're going to present some awards. We're going to talk about what goes on right across the street at City Hall. From what I hear is that they will not allow freedom of the press at City Council meetings. And you all know that I've covered from Madison, Florida, all the way up to Warrenton, Georgia, in Northeast Georgia. And I'm telling you, it's something that needs to be addressed. I'm going to ask a local citizen here in Brunswick, where really he's a citizen of the whole state of Georgia and America. We're going to ask him to come and talk to us a little bit. We're going to ask Helen to come over and do a presentation, what we were going to do the other day when I was here. So look, we are going to make it short, but we want it to be informative. Once again, to Get To Free Press, and remember, we report what others ignore.
I am an educator and a lady who cares. My people perish for lack of knowledge. The Gumbo Pot Educational Symposium's main objective is to educate and equip participants with the information that can empower community advocates to efficiently serve their communities. It would behoove clergy and residents to move past the Jesus paid it all rhetoric and into a by any means necessary mind frame. While the former removes responsibility from individuals, the latter urges the community to take up our beds and walk. The community has casted its cares upon the Lord, yet has had civil unrest and injustice for over 50 years since the 1964 Civil Rights Movement. Although we claim to be free, our children are slaughtered, men are imprisoned, and our women exploited and maimed by the welfare system, while we sit around and pray that the storm passes over. With elections rapidly approaching, it is imperative that citizens of underdeveloped and impoverished cities to not only vote, but be cognizant of whom is representing them politically. This lack of knowledge, combined with misrepresentation, leads to our ever-present problem, benign neglect. Although grassroots movements spring up overnight, benign neglect imbrues every effort to prosper in urban communities that are organized and prepared to demand the promises that are spewed from the mouths of candidates who are in need of our votes. However, after attaining votes, now elected officials aid the highest paying patrons as the poor continue to suffer in spite of their efforts. There is something quite magical about what transpires in the kitchen. It transcends the physical realm of the evident, an action called cooking, to something quite spectacular, the science of healing. Most of life's problems can be solved in the kitchen. In the kitchen, a conjuring of heart, mind, body, and spirit occurs, creating a cure for whatever ails the afflicted. Runny noses, broken hearts, new lovers, it's too cold outside, let's just stay in tonight. All events solved in the kitchen. In this room, we learn, explore, teach, and grow. Thus the purpose of the Gumbo Pot Educational Symposium. There is a myth in our communities that lynching no longer takes place. However, though they have removed the nooses, we are still seeing our children and men slaughtered in the streets. Today, I will be reading from Without Sanctuary, a book that has recorded the pictures and the statements of newspapers around the world that have changed and impacted the lives of blacks. As long as blacks cast their lustful eyes on white women, a Little Rock newspaper declared, and as long as any of them seek to break down the barrier that has been between the Negro and white men for 1,000 years, whites would not be slow or timid in the methods they employ to mete out an appropriate punishment. This may be Southern brutality as far as the Boston Negro can see, but in polite circles, we call it Southern chivalry, a Southern virtue that will never die. But chivalry in defense of imperiled white womanhood was only a rationalization, not an explanation of the epidemic of mob murder that consumed the South. Rape and sexual indiscretion, in actuality, proved to be a relatively minor cause of mob violence. Of the nearly 3,000 blacks known to have been lynched between 1889 and 1918, for example, only 19% were accused of rape. But in many cases, what the public thought had occurred became much more important than what did happen. The public's perception of lynching, fed by the media and improved means of communication, was invariably that a sexual crime by black men had precipitated it. Having created the Frankenstein monster, and it is no less terrifying because it is largely illusory, Walter White concluded, the lyncher lives in constant fear of his own creation. The offenses which precipitated mob violence related less to sexual-related crimes, as sensationalized in the press, than to questions of physical assault and murder, the most common charge. Theft, arson, violations of the racial code, economic competition, and disputes over crop settlements. Many of the transgressions by blacks would have been regarded as relatively trivial if committed by whites and were not grounds anywhere else for capital punishment, using disrespectful, insulting, slanderous, boastful, threatening, or incendiary language, insubordination, impertinence, or improper demeanor, a sarcastic grin, laughing at the wrong time, a prolonged silence, refusing to take off one's hat to a white person or to give the right off way, to step aside when encountering a white on the sidewalk, resisting assault by whites, being troublesome generally, disorderly conduct, petty theft, or drunkenness, writing an improper, insulting letter to a white person, paying undue or improper attention to a white female, accusing a white man of writing love letters to a black woman, or living or keeping company with a white woman, turning or refusing to turn state's evidence, testifying or bringing suit against a white person, being related to a person accused of a crime and already lynched. Political activities, union organizing, conjuring, discussing the lynching, gambling, operating a house of ill fame, a personal debt, refusing to accept an employment offer, jumping a labor contract, vagrancy, refusing to give up one's farm, conspicuously displaying one's wealth or property, and, in the eyes of white, trying to act like a white man.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Zach Lyde. I'm the founder and co-founder of Tunnis, Cambell, Septima Clark Freedom School. We're here today because what we need to do is deal with the idea that fiction is improper unless you want to laugh. Foolishness, has no place in our lives. But facts is what we are here to deal with as a school. We believe that facts will change matters from what you just heard about lynching to bringing about a new found commitment, courage, and loyalty to dealing with the issues of everyday living in a racist society. Glennville has had and is enforcing racist, cruel ordinances, laws, and rules so long that they have been perfectly normal ways to deal with poor people and poor citizens of Glennville and Tatnall County. These actions are barbaric as they end up in the police force protecting white female victims' virtues. The citizens of Glennville must confront this and leave their silence and indifference to change Glennville and Tatnall County, and of course the United States of America. We must do this in the service of democracy. Black folk must no longer being seen as pests, but as people. Racism is pest control, and democracy is people's growth and improvement for all of us. Freedom is fragile. When you oppress just a small group of people, it starts with them, but then you, the silent, the indifferent, will find yourselves under siege. Glennville has cut a slice of our hearts out. Today here in Glennville, we implore you, we beg you, and we demand from you to take up the mantle and make the choice between fiction, foolishness, and fact. Today, the same as last Saturday and forever, the Tunnis, Cambell, Septima Clark will introduce you to facts. Glennville, its police force, its structure with the mayor and the city manager will not deter us. We like Will Smith, but Will Smith needs to know the problems that exist in our community when he comes to a small town like this. This is not a photo op. This is a time for him to learn. So thank you, Will Smith, for coming to town and making some money. But next time, look the Tunnis, Cambell, Septima Clark Freedom School up and the 100 men in this club so that you can assist them in bringing about the kind of changes that you got when you left Philadelphia, headed to Hollywood to be the best that you could be. One of the books that we gave as facts today was Without Sanctuary. Here's two others that we use in order to bring about a change in our community. One, the Constitution of the United States of America, which most of us don't have any information about whatsoever. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments of the Constitution ought to be fact-checked by all of us. Then we use this book of division, the book that we believe that has its roots in the scriptures, where the scriptures said a house divided against itself shall not stand. We believe that division has been used as a tool to destroy our community for the 399 years that we've been enslaved in this country. We believe that division should be destroyed with facts. One of the facts that we would like to present to you is that no matter what is said from this book, we know that division is destroying us. Light skin, dark skin, Baptists, AME, Episcopals, AMEs, CMEs. We are too divided in our community to cause change to be brought about. When we integrated, we even divided our children from ourselves as parents. We need to come and deal with division. We are going to have Division's funeral, and we're going to call his name Willie Lynch, regardless of whether he lived or died. We're going to call him Division. We've already had his funeral. We're going to have his funeral again on May the 3rd this year to commemorate the birthday of our other founder of our name that's in our Freedom School, Septima Clark. Thank you for listening. Now we will enter in our award ceremony. And in our award ceremony, we want to bring up some facts. In Without Sanctuary, everyone that's in the sound of my voice or see this video should take and have this as an institution in their home. Everyone should have this book in their home as an institution. The Constitution should be an institution in their home. We want to make the point, lynching has never stopped. What we have had is lynching by burning in Without Sanctuary. We have had lynching by rope in Without Sanctuary. We've had lynching by bullets in Without Sanctuary. And there's all kind of reasons that they lynched. In Without Sanctuary, they said that they would continue the lynching for 1,000 years and beyond. Well, we only been here for 399 years. Trayvon Martin was lynched in Florida. Mr. Martin was lynched in Jacksonville. We've had Mr. He was choked to death in New York. We had just a few days ago Stephon Clark shot in his grandmother's yard. We just found out today that there was a killing in Savannah. All of these tend to be extensions of lynchings up until this present moment. We are going to demand that facts come out and that old lynchings have just turned into a new way of lynching. In fact, we were almost lynched in here last Saturday when we had our movement. We were sitting here peacefully, not having a game, but we were doing a program, and in came the police. Some of us were terrified. I can be honest with you. I served in the Vietnam War. You didn't see me, but I was terrified. I wanted to flee. Because when you have the police run in on you and all you doing is talking to one another and having a conference where you're trying to educate folk and have a little food together, all it was, we called it the Gumbo Pot Educational Symposium, and all of a sudden, after 3 hours of being here, the police broke us up. So we had to come back today, use more resources, and make our presentations today, and we're grateful that we had the place to do it at. The reason was that Will Smith would be filming today, and that we would be in the way. And because we were going to be in the way, they suggested, because it was not about the idea of us being here as black folk in the town, they said. It was about the fact that what happened is they needed for us not to use this private property.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will Smith's rendition of DC's Deadshot and Suicide Squad has put the star back on the Hollywood map. Now the actor has movies to boot lined up, including new DC movies, a Netflix original film, a possible role as the genie in Disney's Aladdin, and the new Bad Boys sequel. On top of all this, THR has announced that Will Smith may be up for the starring role in the upcoming Ang Lee film, The Gemini Man. The story features an aging assassin who tried to get out of the business but finds himself in the ultimate battle, fighting his own clone who's 25 years younger than him and at the peak of his abilities. In the meantime, fans can't wait to see Smith and Wright, which premieres on Netflix this December.
what statement you trying to make today, brother? Okay, it's time to do it. Okay. Are you a pastor or you just doing the committee?
Just a lover of Jesus.
All right, thank you, my brother. Thank you so much.
Here.
I was just going to advise you, 38, got that vehicle, 1038 with it.
Don't be 1038, Highway 23, Minnie's Road.
Please get on the bed.
In my business, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll explain the second one to you.
Okay.
Court date's going to be the same one, 4th of April, 2018 at 3 o'clock.
You got that record? Okay. Get me, man. I'm beautiful.
All right.
Okay,
Don't mind. 1506.
How much that?
It's a must-appear ticket, so you have to go to court.
You got to pay nothing?
It's not.
Oh, no, charge me something, man. I got money.
They'll let you know. They'll let you know in court.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to need $10 from everybody to pay for this ticket.
What is she going to take it with? All right, the second one's building has no CO. All right,
Yeah.
certificate of occupancy. You don't have a certificate of occupancy in the building. You can't occupy this building with people without a certificate of occupancy. Okay, and that's the hen house with the chicks.
No, that's not the hen house. This is 100 Black Presidents. That's the name of this social club. That's the name of this building. 100 Black Presidents.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and it's a social club that's up under the, what is it? Where is it? Yeah, we're registered.
And with the IRS.
And with the IRS, okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
But you can't occupy this building without a permit. You understand?
Okay. Not with a permit.
Okay.
That's not what you meant.
4th of April, 2018 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be court date as well.
Okay.
There's no fine listed on here. It just must appear in court.
Okay.
That's going to be your court date.
Chad, I'm showing 238.
How long you guys been sitting over there?
That's your copy.
Smile, man. They ain't bad. We smiling. Why you can't be happy?
We're used to it.
It's hot.
You want soda? Get this man a bottle of water.
I'm good, sir.
You understand the
Not
citation?
bribe, it's just
Yes,
water.
I understand the citation.
Y'all want some gumbo?
No.
Y'all want to sing a song for these gentlemen before they leave?
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we should follow the make sure they get there safe. What's the problem?
I forgot to advise y'all. Y'all have to disperse.
Okay, we're going to do that.
we have,
It's gonna take a minute. Y'all want to hang out? Go get some soda or something.
We'll hang out.
All right. Yeah, y'all was over there about an hour.
I would let her take it.
Unlawful gathering.
Anybody want to gumbo?
Wait. Please let her explain for the purpose of the press.
Okay, from the beginning.
Wait a minute. Let them get set up. Wait.
And this is where Will Smith is coming.
That's right.
Okay? This is where Will Smith, I really don't know who made the decisions. He needs to know exactly what goes on in Glennville. Okay? But Will Smith. Okay? Philadelphia. The movie. Right there on the next block. Okay? Now,
he's the only welcome Negro in town.
Can you tell us what happened?
Okay. We Mr. Lyde and I, or Mr. Lyde, the organization, asked to hold this event here on my private property. On private property, I own that, and I own this building here. Complete, flat out owned, you know, no bank or anything. And I told them that they can use it. Now, because we looked for it to be much larger, we said, let's get a permit, okay? And we went over and we asked for a permit to have this event.
Okay.
They said that you might not have enough parking. So we went and we asked a few of the churches around, could we use their parking? Which they agreed and said yes. So we went to them and we said, okay, we got enough parking so that we can have this event here on this private property. After we jumped that hurdle, they came back and they talked about security. They said that we would need security. We went out and we hired a private firm, and we told them that we will block off the road so that we're not in the road, we're not disturbing traffic and stuff like that. After we jumped that hurdle, they still decided, and what was the reason?
The reason was that Will Smith would be filming today, and that we would be in the way. And because we were going to be in the way, they suggested, because it was not about the idea of us being here as black folk in the town, they said. It was about the fact that what happened is they needed for us not to use this private property. We decided before we ever went to them that we were going to use private property because we don't think we need to beg the government to have an assembly. We believe that it is absolute our right to assemble, especially on private property.
Right.
So the idea about needing a permit was their own fable in making a decision that there is one white girl who has been appointed for life to be the city manager. She has decided, coming from the prison complex that she worked in, where she beat Negroes half to death, that what happened is she needed to beat a black businesswoman and their business to pieces. We had already taken and got this place in order to have this particular function. We didn't need permission.
Amen.
We didn't need their permit. We didn't need to ask them anything.
Amen.
What we didn't want to do, though, is park in their road. So we went and dealt with that hurdle. They said then what you need to have is you need to have a police presence. We said how much it costs. They said we will allow you to have one of our police because we're going to have the rest of them over there so that they can do what they're doing today. Not protecting you, but intimidating you. And so what they did was, they then came back and said, no, we cannot give you a police. So we hired a security firm. You cannot deal in a way, that's why we're so glad that the Southern Center for Human Rights is here.
Yes.
We are so grateful. We are so grateful for Apostle Cowell. See, they don't know what just hit them.
Amen.
We talk about the notion of the God. Yes. The God already moved. Yes. He moved because he put us together today to put this together to demonstrate there is a God in Israel.
Yes.
And we are going to demonstrate to Glennville and every little town and hamlet that black folk can, in fact, live. They have the right to exist.
Yes.
We have the right not to be shot.
Yes.
We were going to teach you about all the fellas that was shot today. The reason for it is because our commitment level has gone south.
Yes.
We have decided we free. about this if we gonna protect your grandchildren.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
We have decided we free.
Yes.
We need to make another decision about this if we gonna protect your grandchildren.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Did you get a ticket? I got 2. Okay. And today was the day that I got shot.
That's right.
I don't have a gun.
That's right.
Okay. I'm following the law as it states in the Constitution, and I want to take this minute to call for the young lady he was talking about, Miss Amy Murray, to call for an investigation of her dealing.
Amen. Amen.
And I say this today, the way this city is ran, she is running it with lack of values, with lack of ethics, with, you know, the entire staff that works for the city is intimidated, low morale, and these people come to me every day. She threatens to fire them if they make one comment about anything I have going on. And this is not the way a city runs. This is not the way a business runs. We here in Glennville, we are the board of directors, and we have a right to let our CEO go if they are not running our business as it should be ran.
Well, let me say something. We have done everything that the mayor and the city council asked us to do. We have been to 2 city commissioner meetings. Everything they asked us to do, we did it. We had went to a workshop with them. They told us to draw it out on diagrams, give them the route, how we gonna, where we going, and everything. We did everything. The funeral home across the street, they allow us to park there.
If we wanted to.
If we wanted to. Everything they asked us to do for diagrams and letters, we had petitions signed by the churches about we can park there in the whole 9 yards.
St. James AME and First African Baptist.
When we had met with them 3 times, then they still decided to say, no, this will not go on. But what they failed to realize, we didn't need their damn permission.
That's right. That's right.
First Amendment.
It's less than 100 people here.
It is.
We didn't need no permit.
We didn't need no permit because there's less than 100 people here. Now, we have been through this before.
We went through it during G8 Summit.
We had went through it before when they brought all the president, all his gang to G8 Summit. We know what we're doing.
Law said.
We know what the federal law said because we helped them write that federal law.
They wrote it in my name. So we knew we didn't need a permit. However, I would like to suggest we have a great organizer in this town. He's from Florida. And let me tell you something, he almost got Georgia organized in Mississippi. Brother Coward, would you come up and speak to our organizing effort, please?
I'd just like to say I commend what you all are doing. And I've seen situations like this before. We've had protests and marches with thousands. I would suggest that, because one of the things I think they're doing and not want to bring attention to this county for the things that's going on, I would suggest that, well, 2 things. We do have a place that you can assemble without a problem from them. I would suggest we got the sidewalks right out there. I think that if we would go and just stand in front of the sidewalk with our signs, let everybody know exactly that we're here to stay and what just happened, that's going to bring focus on what's going on. So you're either going to have us here or we're going to be there. And that's the sidewalk, and that's what we're here for. The sidewalk is public property. We can stand off and demonstrate right in front of the city hall and everywhere, and that's the way we respond back to them for what's happening. Right. So you don't want us to assemble here? We'll assemble in public where everybody can sit. I think that's what we need to do. Get some signs made. I'll send some people down to Walmart to get some signs made, describe what just has happened so that people in the neighborhood can start joining us for the cause.
Is anybody connecting with this Will Smith?
No, we're not. But I think what's going to happen, though, if there are people
we have written them.
But I think what's going to happen, if there are people that are here and they see this going on, there's going to be some questions that's going to be asked. They got to. This is right downtown. People are going to have to come by and see what's going on. That brings attention, let people know what's happening now. And it is not. They cannot forbid us from doing that. This is public property. The sidewalk is public property. The city hall, matter of fact, that's public property. So we can stand right over there. So they don't want us here, we need to go there.
But, and the other thing is, if anybody has any contact with Savannah Press,
we have all the press we need.
Okay.
And the reason we got all the press we need is we got phones. We got 2 major press operations here.
Are we streaming?
We got 2 radio stations that we've been on.
Can we stream?
So why don't we, before they come and try to disperse us, why don't we go out front?
But before you go, listen, they haven't stopped anything. Y'all come and get y'all food.
That's right.
Enjoy this. Don't
right. And we will do our presentations outside.
I really would like to ask you what I perceive to be a valid question. That valid question is because you stated on the camera, and this is, I'm dealing with 35 cities that's going through the same thing that you're going through. Okay? So my question to you is, did you not make a statement that the city manager can appoint it for life?
Yes.
Now, is that in the charter?
I don't know.
Now, that's what you need to do. Now, we on camera here. We on camera here. The state of Georgia, the governor, the secretary of state, all of them know me. And the question is it in the charter? And if it is in this charter, then that charter needs some revamping real quick.
Real quick.
Real quick.
So Mr. Brooks, our co-founder with the Tunnis Cambell September Clark Freedom School, he will now make the awards.
Thank you, Reverend Lyon, and thank you, Ms. Lassen, for the beautiful job done in your reading. On behalf of Tunnis Cambell September Clark, we have some awards here. We have 2 people in our midst today that we want to present the awards to, because the rest of the awardees, they are not here today due to the fact of what happened on last week. First of all, our Wings of Freedom Award to Mr. Parrish Rome. On behalf of the Reverend Zach Lyon, founder and president and CEO of Tunnis Cambell September Clark, and along with myself, Bishop James H. Brooks, Sr., with Political Action 397, Emergency Action 397, we'd like to give this Deacon Defense Justice Award to you for the great work you have done, not only here in Glennville, Georgia, but in Brunswick, Georgia, and the other areas, from Miami on back to Glennville, Georgia. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being a great asset to this community.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you.
All due to my wife, Sonia. Thanks.
Oh, that's
hope I can stand up to it.
Now, this award, humanitarian award, we don't give this award lightly to people.
That's correct.
It's something that we just don't do lightly, give out lightly. You have to really earn it. You have to be a special person in the community and abroad, and a special person to our organization, to especially in my heart and Reverend Lyon's heart. We're going to present our humanitarian award to none other than the Hen House, the owner of Miss Sonia Johnson Rome.
All right.
Always call her sis. Okay.
All right.
Now, the reason when you was chosen for this award, when we first met you in Brunswick, Georgia, the city of Brunswick, the county of Glenn, the wonderful Marshall Glenn, seafood capital of the world. I have to get that shout out to my city. When we first met you at Macy's in Brunswick. We have found you to be a true blue person, a person that had real integrity, a person of honesty and decency, a person that loved and cared for people.
That's right.
Not only here in Glensville, but I had did research of you from Miami and other places. For the work that you do in this community, in Glensville, and the work that you do in Miami, how you partnership, bringing about a great change in the lives of people, creating jobs, helping people to excel in their education. I thought it was befitting for you to receive this award. I had talked to Reverend Lyde, my colleague, to present you from Wake Forest. Wake Forest, you know, we talk about Wake Forest stand for. On behalf of Wake Forest, which is Reverend Lyde is the founder and president and the vice president, and Political Emergency Action 397, which I am the founder and the CEO, we'd like to present you our Humanitarian Award of 2018.
Thank you. Well, if I may,
please,
I would like to say that upon meeting Mr. Lyde and Bishop Brooke, when I went down to Glenn County to start a business there, I found them to be true at heart and have a real desire to help people, not just our people, but everyone, okay? And I appreciated that. And I counted it a privilege every time that I was given the opportunity to help them, to help people, and do anything it is that they say they're getting ready to do. So thank you, Wake Forest, Bishop Brooke, Mr. Lyde, and I'm always here, if anything, to help with anything you guys have going on.
And let me say one more thing. Let me say one thing. We want to thank the 100 Black Presidents Social Club for allowing us to come and be a part
absolutely
of the hen house and allowing us to be a part of you and your husband's lives. Okay, thank you for accepting us as your brothers and your sisters in the Glensville, Georgia, and abroad. Thank you to your business 100 Black Presidents Social Club Award. Thank you again.
Okay, let me ask you a question before you leave, please. He referred to, first of all, let me say this. I'm from Brooks County, Georgia, and he said something about a hen house, and I do know what a hen house is. That's what we have in Brooks County. And we're going to have one rooster on the yard, and it was to attend to the hens. And so, but he said something about a hen house here. So will you talk to me just a little bit about the hen house, what it means? And I heard somebody, he meant to say something, if he didn't, I heard something about Miami. If you have another business, just tell us a little bit about that, because people from Miami, believe it or not, watch this channel. On you, my sister.
Okay. Well, the hen house, which legal name is the Hen House Chicken and Fixin', is a restaurant that we own, me and my husband, or my husband and I, own. The Hen House has been, it's the one historical landmark that Glenville still has. It's been where it is and in operation for more than 50 years. Okay. Although we took ownership about 10 years ago, the hen house is still the hen house from 1969. The Doubleys who own the hen house and who sold it to us, I really would like to give them our appreciation for trusting us with that historical site, our historical piece, because it allowed us to carry on their parents' start. And as long as we're here, we promise to keep the hen house here in Glenville operating as the only historical landmark that Glenville has.
That's all right.
And as far as Miami, we also own restaurant in Miami, which is called Maisie's Soul Food, which is named after my mother. Okay. And we operated that business for more than 25 years. So, yeah.
One other thing, excuse me, I didn't come to give you an interview, but when I got all of this, when I have all this information, I just want to share it with the people that watch this video. What makes you tick in spite of all the difficulties that come with staying in business in a small southern town like Glennville? What makes you tick and make you just keep on going when others just may give up? What makes you keep going?
When I look out and see the needs of the people, not so much keeping the business afloat so that others can see that it could be done. You can start from the bottom and work your way up. But I see the need, the social needs here in the small community, here in Glennville, and I just feel that if they can hear the story, if they can see the story, they can be the story. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We want to, although she's not here, but I do want to give a shout out to her and let everybody, let her know, and there are those who know, Alicia Arner. We are presenting her the Wings of Faith Award, Tunnis Campbell, Deacon of Defense Justice 2018. And the reason why, because this young lady, as a lot of you know, Mayor Pro Tem of Douglas, Georgia, Olivia Coley, she was being tried for voters fraud, unjustified, very unfairly tried. When the first trial was in Douglas, Georgia, they had the jurors. She stood out for 3 days without giving any say-so about whether she said her vote was no. She's the only one. She made history. And she stood up boldly before the judge, the district attorney, and everybody in the city of Douglas. And we like to give her this award for being the woman she and the person that she is, standing up for justice. Because of this young lady, Miss Coley had another trial. And that second trial she had, she was acquitted. Found not guilty on everything. It took less than 20 minutes for the jury to go out in Jessup, Georgia, come back with a verdict of not guilty. And so we want to say thank you to Ms. Honor.
Please remain standing. I want to shake your hand for giving her this honor, but it is a great honor. And I want to add to what he said. He did it so superbly. And as you know, you've seen on my many videos, they tried to do the same thing to Olivia that they did to the Madison 9 in Florida.
Amen.
The same thing they tried to do to the Quitman 10 in Quitman. The same thing they tried to do to the Meigs, Linda Harris in Meigs.
Amen.
They're still trying to do to the mayor in Camilla, Georgia. The same thing they're trying to do to many others. But in Lumpkin, Georgia, Charles Gibson, beyond question, the mayor would have been reelected, but they got him too. So let's move on over to Clayton County with the voter intimidations. And this individual brought his case before the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, and he made it so clear that even Ray Charles could understand it and see it. Not because he's blind, but because he's dead. And move around to Gordon, Georgia, with Mary Ann Whippaloo. They did the same thing to her. And it is the most disgraceful of all the places I've been. She only asked for a forensic audit. She wanted to account for $1.5 million, I'm told. Terry Reese died from the stress, we believe, that the city placed upon him, and he was the finance chair. And he said, how can a city with less than 3,000 people have 19 banking accounts? That was his question. And as the finance chair, Terry Reese said, I don't know how much money the city has.
Jesus.
Now, let me go back to Quitman. In Quitman, they tried to do it to Lula Smart. Her first trial, just like Olivia, was a mistrial. Her second, they cleared her of all 30 charges. And by the way, the Quitman 10 plus 2 had 119 to 200 voter fraud charges brought up against them. Wait a minute, I'll finish it. The same manner they tried to get rid of George Ivey in Warrington, Georgia. And that judge in that judicial system banned me for 7 counties in the Tune Judicial Circuit. I know I haven't mentioned his name yet because I'm saving him to go along with Judge Porter III for denying me access to access freedom of the press in the case of the Kendrick Johnson case. So let's move on around to Sparks, Georgia, and Hancock County. An all-white Board of Elections, just like Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, all-white state board of election. No blacks on it whatsoever. People asking for diversity, you won't find it here in Georgia. Coming on around to Willacoochee, Georgia, where I stood with the NAACP and Larry Lockey and O'Hara and those, and the mayor went around, I understand, driving a state representative car, paying black people to vote for him. I'm telling you, this thing is deep. Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, you can't say you don't know about it.
That's right.
Sam Orleans,
can't say you don't
you can't say you don't know about it.
That's right.
Eric Holder under the President Barack Obama administration, you can't say you don't know about it.
Amen.
Because Representative Tyrone Brooks, Joseph Lowry, Jesse Jackson, attorney in Atlanta, and other civil rights organizations, we sent the DVD videos to you. You got it. And according to St. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. Now, I know some of you all say, I just don't quit. Wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. Come on around to Douglas, Georgia. They did the same thing as you just heard it. And he's the one that made me get up to give this presentation so you would know part of the rest of the story, because this ain't all. There are, let me mention one more. I got to mention Homerville, Georgia. Homerville, Georgia. A white city councilman got a homestead exemption in Florida. Not Florida, Georgia, in the state of Florida. And a homestead exemption in Lowndes County, Georgia, where I live as a retired military veteran. But this individual is named Weatherspoon. He hold an office in Homerville, and he don't have domicile there. He don't even have a domicile there. And this has been brought out, yet Dr. Rhonda Cross Scott was found guilty, and you know she went to jail and served time.
Well,
so now the question is, we pride ourselves in being a city, state, and nation of laws. Well, where are the laws now. You always said that majority rule. You said in your documents, and I learned this in civic lessons. I wasn't too smart in school, but I was in the top of my class. But I still wasn't too smart because I was dealing with your information. I wasn't dealing with my history, I was dealing with your history. And so you all say that majority rule. Now after I've gotten a little older and I've retired, I can see better than I did yesterday. Is it that majority rule when the whites are in the majority? Is that what you meant? Because now in a lot of these cities that I've covered, where the blacks are in the majority, well, number one, I know because I got it documented through these same videos on this channel, Boston G.B.R. Here's what you do. A group of white people and a few Uncle Toms and Aunt James line up with them. Well, and number one, they change the type government from a strong mayoral type government to a strong city manager type government. This is what you do. You change the laws. Now ask me how do I know? I just told you. I got it all documented. And so I'm going to close by saying, my beautiful brother, I want to thank you for shining the light on a very deserving person. And I understand, I'm going to add this. Reverend Floyd Rose, I've already asked me for a list of all these elected officials, and next year he got a group called the Save Our Children, and he want to recognize all these black officials, including what up near Athens and Augusta, all those areas. They also want that to be done, and I hope to see that done. So I'll shake your hand again.
Let me say one thing, my brother. You mentioned the equipment
10 plus 2.
I was there with Tyrone Brooks, my cousin, State Representative Tyrone Brooks and all. The same thing happened to me 4 years ago.
In Brunswick?
In Brunswick, Georgia. The very same thing happened to me.
Tell us a little bit about that.
4 years ago. I was accused of racketeering. They had the news cameras, CNN, Fox News, everybody, all the major television stations parked in front of my house because of the fact I was doing just what the white folks was doing. Looking out for my people. Nothing go on unless it has some black was in it. Because I was looking out for my people, my constituents, those who had helped me get elected, those who was underprivileged, those who were being hoodwinked and lied on. I stood up for their rights. I stood up for jobs. I stood up for justice. I fought the police department. The chief of police came to me after city council meeting one night. She said, "May I approach him?" My officer said that you anti-police. I said, "Chief, go tell them I'm anti-everybody. If you're not doing your damn job, yes, I'm anti-police. I'm anti-city manager. I'm anti-public works director if you're not doing your job." Because of the fact I stood up and I fought. The only commissioner fought to keep the jail from being built downtown in historical Brunswick. The judges, everybody wanted the jail, the detention center to be built downtown Brunswick on waterfront property. I wouldn't go along with it unless I hear from the voters. Because I went against the grain, they tried all they can to bring about charges. They contemplated all kind of bogus charges on me, had to drop all of them after having a very expensive legal field account. They dropped all the charges just to get me out of office. But guess what? While the trial was going on, sis, I ran for office still. They said it couldn't be done, but I did. I ran for office still. And I knew I wasn't going to win. I didn't plan to win. But I was trying to show I ran for office while my trial was going on to show black folks and poor white folks alike. You can't keep us down. I ran for office just to show black folks. By the way, I'm the first black person in the state of Georgia being an ex-felony holding public office. That's one thing they didn't like. When they said it couldn't be done in 1998, we proved to our former Attorney General, who was appointed by a former governor who just died a week or so ago, said it couldn't be done. Reverend Lyde and I, we went to the Capitol, and I introduced myself and told him about my plans. He said it couldn't be done. We throw the Georgia Constitution on his desk. So you may be the damn attorney general, but you don't understand the Georgia Constitution. And they came back, put my name on the list, and I ran.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they didn't take it off.
And they didn't take it off. And that open air, we brought Reverend Lyon brought Jesse Jackson down, and we registered that day at Longshoreman, International Longshoreman, 150 ex-felonies to show them, regardless of your past, if you have served your time, you're not on probation or parole, you can run for public office and your rights are restored the day one you get off for probation and parole.
And paid your fine.
And you paid your fine. And I did it, and they didn't like it. But guess what? I'm running again.
All right. Now, y'all hear what he said? Now, I'm going to ask you a question, but I won't do this because this is going to be the closing I want to do. Now, I got a question I want to ask you, but I need to step up right there now. I'm kind of a funny fellow, okay, because of the question. You told me that they dropped all the charges.
All the charges.
Now, I guess I'm a little afraid. You ever heard of a coward? So I'm going to get behind your back to ask this question, okay? I'm going to ask you behind your back. When charges were dropped, did the CNN, MSNBC, did those TV stations cover your story then?
Hell to the no-no.
And that's what I'm talking about, y'all. We got to get our own press.
Amen.
And we got to back the press that we get.
That's
because
right.
they only going to give you what they want you to have.
That's right.
And let me say this to you before I close. You all who listen to this, you already know this. All those cities that I mentioned, and that's not all of them.
That's right.
No newspaper in the United States of America, the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, the New York Times, MSNBC, CBS, Dateline, 43 hours, 67 minutes, none of them
right.
have ever connected the dots.
That's correct.
Of all these voter rights impediments.
That's correct.
Suppression of the black vote. Mm-hmm. Going to people's home with guns on their side.
That's right.
Having a G.B.R. to lie on the stand.
Oh, yes.
The Secretary of State to lie on the stand. Wait a minute, this is not me saying this now. Pastor Avery that lives in Brooks County with Equipment 10 has already said this. I'm only regurgitating what he said. But not one free press will press that in print or on your widescreen TV so the American people can be educated. And I'm going to close by saying this. Wake up, black folk. Wake up. Wake up to your own story and let him keep his story for too long. We knew his story, but we didn't know our story. To all the children, remember this. Drugs will destroy you, but education will elevate you. The Ghetto Free Press. We report what others ignore. Peace.
Amen.
We have 4 other awards we'd like to make. They are not here, but we make these awards in the name of the need for the community to have them to come up, stand up, and be counted in terms of working on behalf of the poor and dispossessed in Glennville. If they show up, Sterling Sharp, if Shannon Sharp shows up in Glennville, if William Buck Hall, their coach, show up in Glennville, if Tommy Coleman join hands with them and start working on behalf of the citizens of Glennville, Georgia, and Tatnall County, in the honest, powerful name of Tunnis Cambell, the man who was the first African senator from Tatnall County, from McIntosh County, from Liberty County, if they walk in their shoes, if they stand up and be counted in the place that gave them so much, then what will happen to Glennville is Glennville will be transformed in the same as Christ was transformed on the Mount of Transfiguration. But you got to come to do the work. Sterling, come down and do some work. Shannon, come home and do some work. Coleman, come home and start doing some work and don't pretend like you still in the chain at the prison system doing that work. It's not prison out here in Glennville. It is absolutely the place where freedom ought to reign. Glennville's prison is just a place where they have been putting us in prison from the day we ended up with the so-called 13th Amendment, bringing about a change for our status from being 3/5 of a human being to being citizens. It never happened. The reason it never happened is you need to read the Constitution. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution reads, slavery and involuntary servitude is prohibited in the United States and its possessions except as a punishment for a crime in a court of law. Buddy, look at the prison system. Look at the chain gang. My own brother on this road, the Wiregrass Trail, ended up on his knees because a white boy, he broke a contract as a person with handling a mule in a field. The man accused him of stealing hogs because he was going to go and work for another man for 10 cents on the week. So because he broke that contract, they put him in a chain gang called the P.J. Jenkins Chain Gang, and he was on his knees working to put this road in through Glennville, the Wiregrass Trail. I have seen him cry because of that work and because of that imprisonment. We got too many black folk. We got too many white folk. We got too many women. We got too many people being oppressed by the games folk playing about democracy when we don't have democracy in this part of the city. Amy Murray, this is a democracy. This is not your authoritarian place that you can stand up and say, look, you can't go over to the hen house and eat chicken unless you come by City Hall. We gonna do what we have to do because freedom demands it. One last thing from me. That young woman who has become a hero to all of us demonstrates the power of female leadership that's absolutely required in this country for a change to be made in our country. Your humanitarian award was just because of that female leadership that you have demonstrated, Mrs. Sonia. She did something that Negroes don't want to do. They don't want to serve on a jury. Why? What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to go in the courtroom to make a decision on whether a man is guilty or innocent? And it's your own children that's being shot in the back by the police who determined that they were guilty simply because they're black. This messy criminal system has determined that we are criminals just because they took us from the shores of Africa, brought us here to work for nothing, and now that we don't want to do it, they are calling us absolute criminals. We ain't gonna work for nothing no more, and we're gonna follow your lead. Miss Sonia, Mr. Paris, you have said to us that it is absolutely imperative that we look at the system that we have here in America called capitalism and develop businesses like we should all over America. We used to have those businesses. Now we don't. The reason we don't is because of cities like Glennville making a decision the only folk that can raise chickens is them. We gonna raise chickens everywhere we want to raise them because we need to eat them. China want our chickens, and we ain't gonna let the President of the United States put no, what they call that stuff, tariffs on them. Our chicken's gonna go to China, cluck, 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 because we know you hungry.
This is the Get To Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are a racist or a hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Ryan.